Excel 2013 Unit E, Format Data Using Text Functions. Sometimes we need to import data into Microsoft Excel from someplace else, some outside source, like a different program or the internet. And there are times when we'll also need to reformat this data to make it understandable and more attractive. So instead of doing this individually cell by cell, we can save quite a bit of time if we simply use Excel text functions to perform these tasks for us automatically. We can use the Convert Text to Columns feature to break data fields that are in one column into separate columns. We have a text function called proper, which capitalizes the first letter in a string of text, as well as any text following a space. We can use the Concatenate function, which simply joins two or more strings into one text string. And so let's go ahead and give you a chance to see what I'm talking about. I already have my file exe-1 open from the location where we're storing our data files. Let me go ahead and take this opportunity to save it now with a different name. Notice it says read only right now on my title bar. So I'm going to go save as, and notice I've already downloaded all of my files this time. So exe-sales. Now let's also take a quick tour of our workbook with several worksheets inside of this one. We are looking at U.S. sales representatives data from our Human Resources Department, and our job is to use text formulas to format this data in a more useful layout. So I see over here I have name, office, years of service, and actually that's what I have here combined in one column. And I have this information for, well, here are my sales reps. I also have sales data for tours. I have a New York worksheet, a Chicago worksheet, a Miami worksheet. And apparently I'm going to want to summarize my tours sold and my revenue information onto my U.S. Summary January worksheet. So that gives me an idea of where we're going with this. Now to get started, I'm going to go ahead and click in cell B4, and I'm going to go ahead and by hand pull out a few things. For instance, I'll pull out the name, and I'll tab, and New York, and tab, and 3. And by the way, if I hit enter, that drops me down to the next cell reference B5. But if I were to have clicked the check mark instead, it would leave me there. Let me just show you what I mean by that. For instance, 3, notice I can click my check mark, and that does not bounce me down to the next cell reference that's available. While I still have cell D4 selected, I'm going to go ahead and click my Data tab, which we'll be using from time to time. And I'm looking for a very special button called the Flash Fill button, which is in the Data Tools group. So I'll click Flash Fill and watch what it does. Notice that I said this category of numbers here, that's the years of service. We're going to ask Microsoft Excel to pull that out for us, and Flash Fill does it. Let's try this one more time, or actually a couple more times. Let's go ahead and try it with the names of our sales reps. So I'm going to go to Flash Fill again, and we'll try it with our office as well, and Flash Fill. Very handy. Now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click column, well, I'll click cell E4. Now this time I want to use the Formulas tab, because notice that my names have been entered. They're all lowercase letters. I don't like that. I want to use the proper function to get Microsoft Excel to change all of these names so that the casing is proper. In other words, the first letter in both the first name and the last name are capitalized. So I'm going to go to my Formulas tab above the ribbon, click my Text button in the Functions Library group, and find proper in this list. And this should be enough of a order. While my cursor is blinking there, I'm simply going to select B4 and hit enter. Not a problem there. Now since I already have this selected, I'm going to simply use my field handle in the lower right corner of my active cell. You can always tell the active cell in Microsoft Excel because it will be the cell with the border around it. You can also look in the name box in the upper left corner to the left of your formula window. But I'm going to copy this function and the argument. B4 is the argument at the moment. I'm going to copy this across. And so notice my B4, of course, changed to C4. That's because I'm using what is known as a relative cell reference. There is nothing to stop that B4 from changing to C4. We'll spend more time talking about that later. So moving on, we've done that using our fill handle. Now let's go ahead and grab both of these. Grab that fill handle again, and I should be able to drag all of this information down with the formatting that I want in place as well. Now the final thing we want to try on this worksheet is the concatenate function. So with my, let me go ahead and click here in years of service. Now let's go to the text button in the function library, find concatenate, and I want to actually combine, notice my cursor is blinking in text 1, I want to combine my years of service with the actual word years, but I'm going to hit a space bar, otherwise I won't have one. I want to have a space in between these two words. And I'm going to click, I guess I should say years, not year. So years, oh, don't need a space after. And click OK. That looks pretty good. I'm going to drag this all the way down. Excellent. Last thing I need to do is go ahead and put my name in the footer. So I'm wanting to insert a footer. I might as well go to the insert button to do that. Find my text group on the ribbon. Choose header footer. By default, I come directly to the header. I'm going to go to my navigation group on the ribbon and say, you know what, go to footer instead. Enter my name. And that looks pretty good. Control on my keyboard and home to get to the top of this. And why don't I also go back to the normal view of my worksheets. I'm going to come to the lower right of my screen and click that. And that looks pretty good. I can tell that this is going to print on more than one page based on that little dotted line there. But for now, I'm not going to worry about it. We're going to say that's it for this lesson, formatting data using text functions.